You are watching Four Guys with Quarters.
This is Spartan 17, and you're watching Four Guys with Quarters. Pay attention and finish the fight. Chief out.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Four Guys with Quarters. Everybody in the chat, just let me know if the audio is okay. I want to make sure I'm not coming through double channels. I was trying to mess with it the other day, but making sure. And, we have a very special guest tonight. I'd like to go ahead and welcome him. His name is Bloody Knuckles! And hold on, there's an audience. They're about to clap. Hold on, give me a sec.
Sounds like you got the water running.
So, hey, Bloody, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, clowns? It's good to be here, man. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good. I'm actually glad to have you on. I've seen you on Twitter for a while, and sometimes, I'm in parties with PK, well, mostly all the time now, and he's like, yo, you gotta get Bloody on! I was like, yes! I agree with you, PK. And here you are.
It's good to finally be on here. I've known you as a big voice in the community for quite a few years now since I started, so it's good to finally be over here catching up with you and your team.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it, man. And Graphic, what do you mean you don't hear the sound effect? It came through my microphone. It says
Pong,
it went off.
Yeah, I agree with Pong. It sounded like you were peeing on the mic. It didn't sound like applause. I think you need to search for another audio file for applause.
Sorry, everybody in the audience who was clapping. Please don't pee live on the show again. Thank you. You think that will work? No. Yeah, it's my fault.
Maybe
I had a bad audio clip,
maybe,
I guess.
kind of, sort of, maybe. I don't know. I feel like peeing on the mic can be counterproductive, but that's just me. Don't take my word for it.
Yeah, they do that on RetroRenegades sometimes, I hear.
Yeah. Yes, I've heard about that.
So, I'd like to introduce the next panel member who's been on every single show since he's been here. He's a wonderful guy, a wonderful dude. And he also hosts the awesome Xbox Ultimate podcast. And Fun Pop on Sundays now. And flipping houses in his spare time. What's up, Mav?
What's up, clowns? This is going to be awesome today. We got an awesome panel to talk about awesome things about video games and stuff. So it's going to be a great time. Excited about that. I have a question. Am I the only one on cam today? Because I'm thinking about shutting this thing off right now.
No,
but hey,
I will come on cam, Mav. I promise.
Oh, okay. All right. It just, I don't want to stand out too much. I know I do sometimes just for my foolishness, but but it is what it is. Hey, hi everybody in the chat. This is going to be fun, guys.
Yeah, and besides, Michael Garvey asked for you to keep your cam on, I'm sure.
Okay.
I don't know if he's
Right
in
on.
the chat yet, but when he gets here, he usually does. And the newest guy on the panel who's going to be doing the radio show with me is this guy called Animated Evil. You may know him from Community Game Nights. He hosts those with Mr. Tushy. What's going on, man?
Hello. Yeah, great. Thank you for having me yet again for my second ever Four Guys. It's an honor. I've turned my camera on because obviously Mav needs the support. Awesome to meet you, Bloody Knux. I've never met you before, but looking forward to having a chat with you. It's going to be an interesting show, as always, with the awesome Mav and the awesome PK.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Without further ado, I'm going to try a different clap, okay? I hope it does not sound bad, but it might sound bad. I'm going to try it anyway. Before we introduce PK, I'm going to do this clap for PK. Hold on, here we go.
What is
It
that,
sounds
man?
so muffled.
I don't
and
know
it
if I
really does
I
sound
don't know
Typing
if I
really
should
fast.
feel if I should feel offended by that because it was so poor.
Was that a flip book? Are you flipping through a flip book?
Yes, sort of. It is sort of a flip book of
It
sounds.
sound like a
I mean,
tiny
it felt
tiny
it felt
drum.
like how you take a fan and just sit there and let it blow in the wind with like a piece of paper in it. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you need to search for thundering applause.
I thought about that, but then what if somebody's listening in their car and they're like, to my ears?
Well, sometimes it's better to have their ears completely shattered than them thinking that someone's pissing on the microphone.
Yeah.
Might have a point there. I might not be able to argue that point. I think
Or
you might
it
actually.
kind of sounded like a really slow rolling loose fart.
I mean, I wonder if that's because I use that that thing to muffle my microphone background noise. Maybe. But does this sound like a badum?
Very softly.
Yeah, it's a little soft. I think we're not getting the full effect of the sounds. Yeah.
Yes, that's terrible. You know what? I may have to fix that then. Oh man. Well, anyway, so we're gonna discuss some topics tonight. Obviously, that's why we come here, right? Topics
Absolutely.
to have some fun, to talk about things, and it's okay if we go off track because we don't have to stick to a structure. Everybody can have fun and talk. But I mean, there's been some news, so like, Nintendo. There's some rumors that people are alluding to. Sony kills its on-demand video service. We did have the Outriders demo that Mav was playing a ton of. Some Mortal Kombat stuff. PK is going to update our Smash topic because it was an old topic from years ago. PSVR is getting some new games. Yes, and there's an unofficial Pokemon Dungeons and Dragons game, which I want to play because I never played Dungeons and Dragons. So,
Ooh.
yes, that is the news. First, let's go into this 4K Switch. I mean, it's 720, right? Handheld mode. And when it's docked, it's 4K. And a lot of people were saying, oh, it's not that big deal. We've had 4K a long time and blah, blah, blah. But Jeff Grubb went ahead and he broke down some stuff on that 720. He's like, the 720 on this type of display, and he did some type of numbers thing. And he's like, it's like a retina display. Like, it's a high quality display in handheld mode, which sounds really cool.
That's really cool.
So I'm excited for it. PK is probably the biggest Switch fan on the panel. I think he's got Nintendo tattoos by now. But PK, what do you think about this news?
So I think it's cool that it's kind of it's kind of weird. So to me, it doesn't sound like an upgrade of the hardware, more or less an upgrade to the resolution. It might use some techniques to get it to 4K, but honestly, Nintendo fans don't care about 4K. At the end of the day, Nintendo fans care about quality games and pushing forward the ability to collaborate and play with their friends. So if they're not really doing that and they're just upscaling the resolution, at the end of the day, it's the same hardware, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, Pokemon on 4K and Pokemon 1080 is the same. It's not that much different, to be honest with you, because the graphic fidelity is not increased, just the resolution. So, far as the screen, I mean, that's cool. Again, what I'm looking for is an advancement in the technology. So if that's not there, then I don't see this being a big deal. Maybe some people, but as many games I play on Switch, 4K is not going to be a game changer, honestly.
Okay, I mean, fair point. And what about playing in handheld mode though with your Super Smash Bros?
That's already an abomination. You don't play Smash Bros in handheld mode, but Mega Man and stuff like that. I mean, like I said, it's not going to make any difference. Um, if I play Fire Emblem, Mega Man, whatever, to me it's still the same. It's on a smaller screen, so you can't really tell any difference. It's just like playing on your phone. Your phone might be able to do uh 4K or whatnot, but you're not gonna be able to tell because it's on a small screen. So it's not gonna matter as much. What matters is what the output is to the TV. And again, resolution. Come on, Nintendo fans don't care about that. They're more inclined to worry about when is the next brand new game coming? When is this 5-year-old Metroid Prime 4 going to release? That's what we care about. Not necessarily resolution. Maybe to some people, and that's fine if that's what they care about, but that's not a deal breaker to most Nintendo fans.
I mean, fair enough.
I was just going to ask, would a better screen, I think, is getting replaced with an OLED, I think I read. Would that not save battery power if it's a different screen?
It's definitely possible, but the Switch battery power is still abysmal no matter what. So it doesn't help. I've been on flights too many times and it still dies within, so it's not going to save that much power to be like an 8-hour all day laptop or something. Just not going to happen.
The article mentions the OLED panel will consume less battery, but we don't know how much. I mean, that could be like 2%, right? So, like, who knows exactly?
I would assume approximately 25%.
So that's substantial to me, if you get.
I mean, that is a substantial thing, but if it's only a 3-hour battery life to begin with, I mean, you do 25% increase on that, and still
45 more minutes.
I guess.
The other biggest thing that you have to take into account is the fact that they're going to be able to update and change the battery, because now that there's more surplus of higher end batteries compared to where it was almost 5 years ago, that'd be a small change that wouldn't cost anything more than than they were paying before. So if this is an updated model, then it's possible that along with new screens that are obviously cheaper and being mass produced, it's also possible to upgrade the battery. If you're going even from a 3-hour battery to a 5-hour battery, that can make a breadth of difference.
I mean, they already changed the They're probably going to use the same battery they have in the Lite, because the Lite is lasts a little bit longer and it's a stronger battery. But like I said, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be a deal breaker. But that's just me. You guys might have a different opinion.
Yeah, and I definitely have different opinion. Is the fact of that I agree with where you're coming from, that the battery life already is abysmal, and I've used it on a couple flights myself. But I feel like the fact that they're making changes is definitely a good sign. And one, you got to look at the fact that Nintendo is notorious for making multiple iterations of their devices. Especially look at their handhelds. Look at how many versions there were of the Game Boy Advance to the DS to the 3DS, and they're still making new iterations around that. Is that the Switch is that nice mix of a home console and their handheld market being able to kind of coincide instead of having two different ones. They're able to capitalize on both markets, and the fact is now they have a way to kind of help and iterate upon that, but still keep that focus there, because obviously their biggest seller has always been their handheld market, more so than their consoles, and that's without a doubt. Outside of the Wii being the world record selling console that it is, their biggest focus has always been handheld, and I think the Switch is really what capsulated that. Although looking at and reading through the article, the fact is that they're using Samsung's possibly new OLED screens, which we already know that some of the OLED screens that there are is now the 7 inches, similar to what they're going to be using in their new Samsung 21 and 21 Note, and those newer devices. But it's focusing on the fact that it's a Retina display, but it's going to be a 720p resolution screen specifically for the the device itself for the Switch for when it's in handheld mode. But it seems that the 4K upgrade is actually going to be an overhauled SoC for the dock. It looks more that they're trying to at least make the handheld still around the 720 that they've already been targeting, with a newer screen to help kind of give it more clarity, a little bit help to save on battery life, potentially a new battery. But it seems that the 4K upgrade that they're talking about is specifically for the dock itself, where is what's going to be outputting to the TV to kind of push for that 4K resolution. And PK made a great point, is that while people may see 4K, especially on their phones, they're not going to necessarily know, even though it outputs that, because the fact that when you look at 1080, 4K, or 720 on a phone screen, it's not going to be as night and day as if you're looking on a larger screen, such as TV, PC monitors, or even 4K TVs as it is, because those obviously have more diodes and LEDs to kind of help push out and be able to read all those individual pixels compared to a phone, where it's going to be hard to tell because of the picture being so small. So I feel like this upgrade is going to be nice, but it's going to be more of an upgrade for the dock itself, while making small changes to the handheld Switch itself to kind of help make it better for those players. But as PK brought out, Switch players and Nintendo fans don't necessarily care about all that, because of the fact that it was the travel on the go console. They're not going to be worried about it. It's right now, the only reason I feel like they're going to be making these upgrades, especially for the dock mode, is because right now kind of everyone's still locked in at home. They don't necessarily need to have a 4K mobile handheld more than they need a quote unquote 4K gaming console at home. That's just my thoughts on it.
Okay. Fair enough. Mav, did you have anything that you want to add to this? Because, did you let Caitlin know that they got House Flipper on the Switch?
They got House Flipper on the Switch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Play that on the go.
Maybe that'll transform my opinion on everything. I don't know. I don't know enough to really have a strong opinion about this either way, because, is it going to be able to display all the games that have already come out in 4K using some kind of voodoo magic of resolution boosting power, or is it just capable of outputting the newer games that are coming out in 4K? There's a lot of unanswered questions that I have. I'm really unhappy personally with the current model, just because to me, I don't really like playing in handheld mode, right? On anything. I just don't like playing on a small screen. And then if I put it on a really big screen, it doesn't look good, right? So if this one may improve that, right? It's what it's sounding like. But if everything that I've already bought doesn't get improved, then I'll be a little disappointed, right? So there's some promise here. Does that mean that the new Switch is more powerful than the existing Switch? I don't know if that means that, or if it's just like a trick of using the dock to display things differently. I don't know.
It seems that the dock's going to be the upgrade. So
Right.
It looks like the actual graphics and SoC that's going to be going into the dock is what's going to allow it to output, because the handheld itself was still focused on outputting at 720.
But that means they have to design the games according to handheld mode, right? So there's not they can't assume that it's going to be this powerful machine when they're making games. So for me, it's just a disappointing thing still that I don't have a real console. And I can't really get excited about the Switch until it's a secondary Nintendo device for me. I don't like the current model for them, and I'm not attacking bad, right? It's just not for me. I want a real Nintendo console. And so this doesn't do anything for me right now.
think your mic might be giving feedback.
That's Bloody Nuts, I think, because it's highlighting on the screen in our meets. It's no problem, man. Yeah. So until I get some news about that, it's hard for me to be excited about anything that they're currently doing. Like the games are great, right? The games are great. I don't like playing in handheld, and they don't look good on my TV. So I don't know. We'll see. These will look better, so that I guess has some promise. But if it doesn't, it improve all the other ones that I've had, all these games that I've hoped to be enjoying, then it's going to be still some disappointment. So we'll see. Maybe does anybody know if it'll be able to do that? I don't think I saw anything about that.
No, I
like
think
Breath of the
we
Wild.
don't-
Can it be 4K on my screen, or is it still gonna be 900p?
We don't know what it's going to be. This is all speculation.
Yeah,
But until Nintendo officially says what it's going to be.
yeah. If you put Breath of the Wild 900p on a 65-inch or 75-inch screen, it's not too pretty, you know.
Yeah, no, you have a valid point, and like PK said, this is all kind of just like rumors, but it seems to be rumors that are probably going to become true because almost every source picked it up.
Yeah, it seems legit to me because there was Bloomberg, and then I think Polygon had an article, some other stuff. So it's exciting for me that they are doing something, but I want the Nintendo console. You know, I want maybe they're done with that. I hope not, but maybe they are.
Well, anybody else got anything to say on this Nintendo 4K rumor switch, and will you go buy one?
The only thing I've got to add really is that there's been rumored for a while the Switch Pro, right? It's been rumored, and is this it? Is this all they're doing? I mean, at these big companies, I always take a sideward glance at them, a little bit suspicious. Have they thought to themselves, why should we bother upgrading a whole lot when we're top selling? Let's just give the suckers a new screen. I'm sure, I hope it's not true, but I always take a sideways glance with that suspicion and think that there's a possibility with all three of the big companies that they could. But is this the rumored plus version, shall we say, which isn't good for anyone, I don't think.
I think it is. I think that this is the rumored upgraded Switch that we've all been waiting and hoping for, so that our kids can ask for an extra present for Christmas when they already got the original. You know, because they just want that 4K dock.
Quite possibly, yeah. Which is it's not a new. It's just a screen, and it's a little bit of a cop out of an upgrade. If we're being honest, if there's no more power behind it, then what was the point?
Well, I think there's a little rumored power behind it, right? It's the Flamish dance. No, come up, Flamish! It's not working. Damn you, Flamish! Come back. Oh no, I gotta see there. Oh, what? Yeah, it's not working. Sorry, Flamish, you can't be seen on screen. Yeah, no clue.
We got censored. That's what happened.
Yeah, we got censored. Yeah, so I think that's it. I mean, this is what we all been waiting for. Sell the old Switch and upgrade. I mean, Crazy Greek dude, you're probably right. If you do it, you know, before it actually comes out, you probably get some good value. And hopefully, you know, GameStop and Best Buy and whatnot will do some upgrade offers. But I would recommend not doing it after it comes out, in case there is no upgrade offer, and then the value goes straight down.
Well, I just think we need more information, clowns, to really make a judge of like what this is, you know?
I agree. Because it's just, I mean, it's just what? The article itself, the original article is like 8 paragraphs, maybe?
Yeah.
So it's hard to speculate off 8 paragraphs, but it's amazing how many stories have been written up off 8 paragraphs already.
Oh yeah.
But here's something that's not a rumor, and for everybody who buys their movies and TV on PlayStation, that's going the way of the dinosaur. So PlayStation is getting rid of their movies and TV portion on their consoles. You'll still be able to access your old content on PlayStation 4 and 5 and mobile devices, but those looking to purchase films and TV series in the future could just use Amazon Prime Video, YouTube, and Vudu, which are available on the PlayStation Store. They let you know that. And of course, for streamers like you and most of the generations out there, Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus are all downloadable, and probably Paramount Plus soon as well. So basically, PlayStation's just saying, hey, for whatever reason, we just don't feel like selling it anymore on our service. I don't know if it's because it ends up costing them more to keep it there, or if they just think that there's no longer a market for this stuff because everybody's using streaming apps. I mean, I hope that Xbox doesn't get rid of theirs ever, because I've purchased some stuff on there, but at least that's incorporated with like that what is it, Movies Anywhere or whatever it's called. So I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about this? You think that this is like a big deal? Do you think that Sony is starting to close some stuff on their side because it costs too much money, or is it more or less like society is not gearing towards purchasing this in mass quantity anymore, and we're all just going to streaming?
I actually think that this is actually a fact of Sony having to kind of cut costs. I think people fail to understand is that Sony, like Microsoft, has multiple divisions. However, if you look at a lot of Sony's actual um, meetings, and especially a lot of their quarterly explanations on where they are as a company, a lot of their movie divisions and their music, even their camera divisions and all that, has not been pulling in the money that it used to. And the thing is, when for them to have that movie, the being able to purchase movies on the PlayStation, they have to still pay to those movie companies to be able to license out those, because when you make a digital purchase, you're purchasing the license, so they have to make pay part of the license to be able to sell the license. So the fact is, they may not be making enough on what they're already having to pay and holding those. So the fact is, them keeping trying to push for any potential sales for being able to sell any more licenses for digital purchases may not be enough for them to justify keeping that portion open, so they can be putting that money to other use. Realistically, Sony as a company, their biggest selling point right now is their movie division, which has still been suffering, as well as PlayStation. So I think that with what they're trying to do is they're trying to cut costs to really be able to see where they can invest that money to really start being able to make it back. That's where you see the difference with where Microsoft is that they have a lot of partnerships with some of these streaming companies and others. That's why they're still able to do a lot of these sales. You see that they've made the push with the Movies Anywhere, so you'd be able to purchase it once, be able to have it. Yes, there's still definitely a go for the streaming aspect, but I think that a lot of people are still buying physical enough and also still buying digital purchases to kind of really justify that. However, when you look at Sony, you also think that they cut off their TV service not that long ago with the PlayStation Vue. I think that they've kind of realized that they need to just kind of step back from that, being able to be that all media center, because it's really too much money and they're not generating enough to justify keeping those other divisions and other supports open.
I mean, that's a very very good point, because it does cost money to keep any division open, because there's employees there that have to put that stuff up there and make sure that the licenses are transferred properly. I mean, it takes employees to do that, which costs per hour for Sony and human resources. So absolutely, it could be a means of cutting costs. That makes perfect sense, and that's a very good point that you brought up, Bloody, for sure. Enemy, were you going to say something?
No, I just agreed wholeheartedly. Exactly what Bloody was saying. It's a fair point, and I don't think I can increase in that. He said quite a lot of things that was on my mind, and yeah, why not?
It just tells me they must
well
not be
said, sir.
making a lot of money from that, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
it was being really successful, they wouldn't need to make any kind of move. I think they're seeing enough success running the applications and stuff through the PS Store that are not Sony applications that are more popular, right? Like you got Amazon, like you mentioned, and Voodoo, and all these things that are more widely used, right? I don't know if PlayStation is part of Movies Anywhere either. Does anybody know that? But I make sure anytime I buy a movie digitally, that I do it through a service that is combined with Movies Anywhere. Just so if I buy something on Xbox, I buy something on Amazon or wherever, it's available everywhere, no matter what device I'm on, because there's always an app that has access to that library. So maybe just things like that. Maybe it's becoming less popular to use that storefront on there. I wouldn't read a whole lot necessarily into it, other than that part isn't doing well, probably for them, right?
I mean, the other aspect you got to think of too is that for them, that they just made that what's it, $1.3 billion deal to acquire Crunchyroll.
Right.
So they're
Yep.
taking one of the biggest, and they already are the sole owners of Funimation for animation here in English in the West. Now they're taking over one of the biggest services that is for localization for subbed or natural Japanese in Japan. So why would they want to realistically sell digital purchases or licenses those when they have the two companies that have a entire monopoly on the industry, and not just update those to get more people to want to pay for those subs compared to just people who may want to potentially buy the digital licenses?
Yeah,
And
I
that's
think it'd be interesting in the future to see if they actually have an incorporation with like whatever they upgrade PS Now to turn into a real Game Pass competitor, to have like a Crunchyroll subscription rolled in there, like bundles like that. Did you say Funimation was theirs as well?
Yeah, they own Funimation here in the West, and now that they own Crunchyroll, they have both major animation streaming platforms. So they could
Right.
potentially include both of those in if they really realistically wanted to.
Yeah, it seems like they're becoming a believer more in the subscription model.
Yep. And to be competitive in the market that's currently out there as well, they would have to spend a hell of a lot of money to get some possibly exclusives or timed exclusives, like they do with games, into their movie service. And maybe they're just not willing to outlay that money for the little recompense they'll get. Especially when they, like you've said, they own a couple of streaming services already. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I'm surprised though, like they didn't try to do something with the Spider-Man movies and make the new ones like, instead of just going to theaters, you could watch it on PlayStation first if you buy it there. Surprised they didn't try some tactic like that. That seems like a Sony move, but no, they're just abandoning it.
I think part of that lies in the contract that they have directly with Marvel. While they may have some of the movie rights, there are still the facts that they are going through the Marvel publication house, that there's still certain contractual obligations on why they may not be able to do that.
Yeah, good point. Because I mean, Marvel is part of Disney now, and Disney has their own application. So it's
Yeah.
probably, yeah. I mean, that makes sense there. I didn't
Yeah,
even
and
think
if you
about
think
that.
about it, if you look at like the Venom films and all those say in partnership with Marvel, though they may not have Disney, the fact that they have the Marvel logo there, because of the fact that it says in partnership, they still have to follow whatever rules are set in that contract with them specifically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Infinite. I don't know what you mean by my time in Portia.
I think he's referencing the game My Time at Porsche.
Yeah, I think he is too. I wonder if he's playing it right now. Mav, did you have anything that you wanted to add to this?
I think it's said like quite a bit on it, but like the I think the Crunchyroll investment's interesting. If when you pair this together, like Bloody Nuts was saying, it's like it kind of leads to maybe a different. They're going down a different path with stuff. So I think we'll probably hear more about some different moves they're making in the future as well, which would kind of make some of this make more sense right now. And I don't think it's like some people are crying like, oh man, this is like disaster for Sony. This is like really bad. Like they're a sinking ship, right? I wouldn't necessarily go to that extreme because ultimately they're still doing fairly well. Look very well, very well. I mean, PS5s, you can't get one anywhere, right? Regardless of any of the conversations out there about it or anything, like it's doing really well sales wise, and there's some great games on there. Their games are selling out, or not selling out, but they're selling really well. I mean, and there's a lot of good stuff coming. So I don't think there's any necessarily worries for Sony as a whole. It's just a change of, hey, let's kind of get with some new ideas, or maybe that one service isn't really doing it for them anymore, right? I do want Xbox to keep their store though, because I do use it frequently for movies.
Yeah, it would be a disaster if they got rid of theirs because I'm so invested into the ecosystem. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a good point, though. Do you think that Xbox will slowly get rid of theirs too, or you think
I
it's a
saw
little
some
bit-
people asking and mentioning that. I don't know. I mean, there's still got to be places to buy movies digitally and stuff, like besides just using subscription services, right? You should be able to buy movies on demand or whatever. So I think Xbox actually has a pretty good system set up with theirs. They are part of that Movies Anywhere program as well, which is if any of you aren't aware, you guys are aware with that. Basically, like if you buy Amazon movie by Xbox, you can play movies you bought on the Xbox store on your iPad on the Amazon Prime app, or wherever. They all link together, right? So all
It
that
just
stuff's really
depends
cool.
on the studio. Paramount
Yeah,
doesn't.
there's a couple of them that
participate.
withdraw. Yeah, there's a couple of them that withdraw, and you have to use their service, whatever service they are signed up with, to do that. But for the most part, it works really well, and I think that Xbox has kind of done a really good job with all of that. So I don't foresee them really going anywhere with it.
This leads me to the point where I really think, and I hate to say this because I said this with the games going digital, right? That eventually, I think with the movie industry, we're going to see more and more going into either streaming services, rent services digitally, or buy to own digitally, because we're seeing not Blockbuster. I'm sorry, they're already closed down, but like Best Buys are closing down, and it seems like movie sections are shrinking in other retailers. So it just makes me start to think, and movies aren't being produced as at least as frequently as they used to be in my mind. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of movies out there that are brand new to see at one time anymore. And I'm just starting to think that they're going to get rid of discs eventually. Um, and that they want to be able to control their content better by going into digital services, especially rent and streaming, because those are they take a little bit more effort for somebody that is going to try to copy those than somebody that's going to put in a DVD and copy a DVD or something. I just think this is where industries are headed. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you guys kind of have that fear too, or is that just me?
Actually, this is something that I had actually brought up on the Smash podcast almost a year ago, right at the start of the quarantine and lockdown, right around May, when we saw like the Sonic movie and a couple other big movies that were coming around March already go on streaming services or be available for digital renting. And we had talked about how the movie industry, especially movie theaters, kind of had gotten more expensive. But the fact is, the reason movie tickets and stuff were so expensive was because of how much hiking that the theaters themselves had to take a cut because of what was going back to movie theaters. And as you started seeing a lot more movies that were coming out day and date on streaming services or be able to be rented, and how successful they were doing there, that we were saying that there was going to be a massive change with how movie industries are going to work. That there may still be some that are going to be releasing in theaters, but you're going to see more going digital, either premiering in streaming services on the same date that they release in theaters, or they're going to be digitally available for rent on certain services for so long before they take it away and then either put it on there permanently, or you'll be able to buy it digitally. And that seems to be the case as more and more services are coming around. Recently, a lot of people saw the announcement for Paramount Studios doing their Paramount Plus, utilizing all their studios. We see Disney has done it. We see other media conglomerates doing it. You see like CNBC and a lot of others. And I just think that because of a lot of changing industries and a lot of them happening more rapidly with everything that's happened within the past year, we're seeing that rapid development and having to make new strategies quicker instead of having gradually phased them out over time. Because look at what, like you mentioned, with digital games, that started what in the PS3 360 era almost a decade and a half ago, and how that slowly started becoming the norm going into the eighth generation with the Xbox One and the PS4, how digital purchases, DLC, and a lot of game purchases started becoming more and more prevalent and become the bigger sellers compared to physical, and where that stands nowadays. So I think movies were just on another ticking time scale before they were going to meet the same fate. But I think with everything that happened, that kind of pushed them to rush it faster than if we waited another 5 years or so.
Mav, Evil, PK, any thoughts on this?
For me, I think over the long term, yeah. The other thing you could think, maybe Sony knows something, right, that we don't know yet. Like, and I saw Midway put in the chat, like with HBO and HBO Max and some of these services, a lot of these new movies that are, when they are releasing, are coming to streaming services day one. Big theater releases now. So maybe based on the fact that they're going to lose a lot of those sales, maybe it doesn't make sense for them to stay in it long term. So that could be part of it. But over time, I think that subscriptions are going to be the key. But I don't know, man. Physical is still going to have a place. Like, even with music now, and this happened to music a long time ago, right? I mean, music is way ahead of movies, TV shows, and video games as far as going to streaming services and going to all of that, first, right? Becoming digital, and you can still buy physical music, right? Yeah, Asa. You can still buy physical music. You can buy albums, right? You can buy CDs still. So I think there's still going to be a place for it. Just how readily available it's going to be is going to be interesting.
Very good points. Evil, PK, any thoughts?
I can see physical going, but I can't imagine you're going to get rid of the big box office openings and stuff at the theater and things like that, because they're still technically digital releases. But physical, I can see going. But then DVDs, yes, will Blu-rays outlast? Because you can get a better quality visual on Blu-ray over than digital. I don't know. I think Blu-ray might last a little bit longer.
See, then we got this whole other problem, right? Because 8K is right around the corner, at least with TVs. 8Ks, I mean, you can buy 8K TVs now for, I think the last time I checked was like maybe 4,000 is the lowest priced 8K TV. And there's people that I know that actually bought 8K TVs, and they're like, oh, I got nothing to watch on it. Of course you don't, because there's nothing on cable that's 8K yet. There's not really any movies that are 8K unless like you work for the movie industry and you get like an 8K copy. So I don't know. This is like this creates like a paradigm for the industry in itself. It's kind of an oxymoron where they, they want to phase it out, and then 8K comes along because the TV industry is pushing it. Now the movie industry has got to keep up with it. So it'll be interesting for sure to see what happens in the next coming years and how they transition and how 8K works. Because people still have data caps, especially with Comcast. So imagine an 8K streamed on a Comcast data capped service. I mean, that would just be terrible for the people. In general, that would be horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree.
Far as what I think just Sony is just trying to save some money. I mean, just be honest. It's no different than what Phil Spencer did when it came to Mixer. It's either Game Pass or Mixer. Which one you gonna keep? You can only invest in the one. So it's what it is. So they start. It's not like Sony hasn't been closing shops over the years. I mean, they've been doing that for the past 8 years. So we all know that not all their business models make the same type of money their PlayStation division makes. I mean, who walks around with a Sony cell phone or tablet today, or even a Sony computer? Go ahead and raise your hand. I'll wait.
Do you walk around with Zune? You still Zune?
I do not, but
I did.
I'm just
Never
saying.
owned one.
We know their cameras and TVs are probably the most profitable outside of the PlayStation. So consolidating things to save money and during business restructure is not unheard of. That Japan has done plenty of restructuring, or even combining forces. Right? I mean, most of the Japan studios and publishers are now 2 companies in one. So it's not unheard of. I mean, the Korean market is dominating in the tech world, and that's just the realistic view of everything. So if PlayStation is their most profitable section, then they definitely have to rethink things and probably consolidate things that are not turning enough profit, aka closing down Japan studios.
Speaking of thinking on things, this is going to be a terrible transition, but I'm going to transition anyway. Hope you can hear these crickets here.
Yeah, I heard something.
Yeah, so it worked a little bit, right?
Well, they were definitely crickets.
I'm practicing for the radio show. Yeah, I'm practicing with the soundboard, so I got to get good with this. But Outriders and Mav, I know that you've played this. I've seen you stream it.
Yes, I have.
And
what would you like to know?
is the demo a 10 out of 10 must buy immediately? Is it a great game? Do you think that it's gonna last a while, or any thoughts, any feelings?
So my personal opinion is that it is a really fun game. It's got some interesting like things about it. It's got a little jank to it, right? Your character kind of feels like it's floating around. The graphics aren't the best with like the facial animations and some of the details stuff, but it is still a beautiful game. With the scenery, the setting, the music is freaking awesome. Music is amazing. The best thing in the game for me, which is to me the most important, is the fighting. With the abilities, being able to use the combination of abilities in a fight. Like I was using Trickster, so you can like you can teleport behind an enemy, then you can slow down time and get a bunch of guys around you that are all running slow. Then you can slash them with your sword or whatever. And it's just gameplay is usually first. And in this game, to me, the gameplay shines, and the guns feel good. There's going to be a lot of cool guns to find and get in the game. I think there could be some improvement in some areas for sure. Like for example, if a Halo demo came out today and it looked and stuff like Outriders did, and it kind of felt like the characters are floating and all that kind of stuff, like it does in the Outriders, they would get absolutely crushed with the public opinion, right? It would be all over the place, like what a joke it is and stuff. But that's to just show the reality of, hey, that's a different level of game, different level of budget and stuff. And this game is, for what it is a lot of fun. And there's no reason to harp on all the negatives and instead just focus on the positives, which I think there's more positives here for sure than there are negatives. And I think it's got a chance. I think it's going to do pretty well because I think it's going to grab a lot of the people that like that looter shooter style of game. Other questions I have is with the support for the game after you beat it, like because they said it's not a games of service game, but the gameplay and the mission structure and style of it lends you to see it as that when you're playing it. So when you beat the game, what's coming next? What did you grind for? Right? All of that's going to be questions that I have that's going to dictate the success of this game. Are they just going to come out with Outriders 2 next year, the year after that? Is it going to become that kind of thing? We don't know yet. So I think it's got a really good chance, and I love what I played. So regardless of any of those other questions I have, I'm definitely going to get it and play the heck out of it because it's a lot of fun.
Okay. Is it like a day one buy for you? Or are you gonna wait for it to have a little bit of a discount?
No, I'm gonna get it day one just because I want to play with my friends who are all going to be playing as well, and I think that's the way to play this game. If you got it's 3-person squads, I wish it was 4, because there are like 4 classes. I guess as they did it for game balancing or whatever. But as far as the way to play this game for me is get 2 friends that you enjoy playing games with, and you just have a blast and go do missions. And the way you can play off of each other with your abilities and stuff, it kind of reminds me of like Apex with like this. Every character is a little different, how the play style is, or like, so some of those kind of things, like Destiny, how they have abilities and all those kind of stuff, it's this play style is so different between the different classes, and you can use those in like concert with your friends when you're playing. So I really like that about the game.
That's fair. I didn't play it as long as you did, but my experience with it was I played maybe for about an hour. The one thing that I felt like they could have done better on is the cover shooting. I thought that was kind of iffy. Like it didn't feel like a 2021 cover shooting mechanics to me.
It's got a little jank to it.
Yeah, I thought they could have did better there. I'm not complaining about the graphics. I think they were all right. The story seemed pretty good, but the cowboy guy was really out of place. I think the cowboy guy in a futuristic setting like that, I mean, he sounds like he comes from like old Texas or something.
Yeah. I skipped most of the cutscenes because I knew I was going to be starting a new character when the game comes out, and I'm going to forget everything that happened. So I skipped all the cutscenes, so that way I just get to take in the story as it's actually happening when I'm playing.
You do know that they did say that all your demo stuff will carry over to the main game, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to make a new character, because I only played for like a couple hours, I think, just to get a really good feel of one of the classes. And I would rather play through the story when I'm going to be continuing it as opposed to taking like a month break. Because the way my memory works, I am going to forget everything and not know what previously happened when I jump back into the game. So
I think that's fair.
That's just the way I did it. But
yeah, I kind of agree with Mav on this. Is that I played the demo, I was streaming it and had quite fun with it for a couple hours, and do agree with what he said. Quite a bit of jank. But the fact is that it does still have a lot of the foundation and good elements of what people can fly are used to. You want over the top shooting aspects, they have that. You want that kind of space epic with the powers, they have that. I was like, the classes feel very different, and I think that's what kind of makes him nice. Like him, I played the Trickster. I messed around with the Technomancer. Having that different variety is what's really nice. Kind of what makes Destiny kind of stand out with the Warlock, the Titan, and the Hunter. Each play style with their abilities feels different, even though there are certain aspects where they still feel very same. Like at the end of the day, Destiny's still first person shooter. Gun elements are still all going to play the same. It's how you play the rest of the game, how it feels. This one has the cover shooter aspect of it. I feel one of my biggest things is that the camera angles for how it feels as an over the as a third person shooter feels a little off, and I can definitely agree with the floatiness of the character, but it feels more apparent when they're running because it feels like it's trying to make them look like they're running fast, but it doesn't really feel like it. But basically, it feels like they're just kind of zooming in the area around you to kind of give the illusion that you're really running, but it doesn't feel like a massive improvement over just, fast walking while not hitting the sprint button. That's just the way that I kind of felt about it. But I think that what they have with the foundation of the lore, the world, it's very interesting. I do agree that the graphics are not up to snuff, but I feel like that's just because of the fact that it's not finalized. So I'll kind of reserve more on the look of it for when it launches. But so far, a lot of the visceral and kind of the nature does look really good. The monster design and the world design is very nice. Um, Overall, I think People Can Fly really have a solid game here, breaking away from what they've done in the past and kind of trying to take a little bit of everything that they've worked on. But I have the same fears that Mav brought up. Is it's not a game. It's not a game as a service. It's not a live game or anything like that. It's not going to be like Division, Destiny, or Ghost Recon or anything like that. So it has a designated end. So they have the world tiers, where as you level up, loot gets better, but the world gets harder. But once you hit the end of the story, what is the necessary end game, or are they going to make expansions? It's kind of what they did with Mass Effect, that there's technically an end, but you can replay the game if you want to. But as what comes next, is it wait till Outriders 2, or is there going to be some additional story content or anything to kind of give into it? Now, not necessarily as a bad thing. I think that having a game with the necessary end is always good, but I think people are also, with the fact that, as he put it, it's a looter shooter, they're going to kind of want more to incentivize to keep playing the game.
Yep, agreed. And the fact, that's something I worried about because I think in my mind that this game would take the place of what Division 2 is right now for a lot of people. This game would take over that. But it feels like this game has an end game. And then after that, it's like, what do you do? Probably nothing. And I think that's what they expect. Shizno says they have said there are 14 expeditions after the story is over. Okay, well, that's more than I heard initially. So, I mean, it sounds like as long as the expeditions are long enough, people will stay happy with that. That'll keep people busy for a while, but it just won't be the Destiny killer that I was hoping it was.
Honestly, I think there's going to be a while before we see even a remote Destiny killer, because they definitely kind of got the. But you also got to think that Destiny took 9 years to get right, to be that perfect MMO light, and even then, they still continue to make a lot of mistakes as they're charting ground that hasn't really been done before. So they still have a lot of balancing act in there. So I think saying anything's going to be a Destiny killer is not really contrary. It's just what's going to fit the right mold for what they're doing. Because look at Division. Division was really good. And they try to go more the third person shooter aspect, but they still ran into issues because of the fact that there wasn't too many solid third person live services like them that had that mix of open world PvE and then designated PvP zones outside of something like World of Warcraft. But that's a whole beast in of its own.
Animated, PK, you guys play any of the Outriders?
Yeah,
I
I
haven't.
tried it out. I mean, I
Go on,
think it's all
PK.
right. I mean, it's okay. It's nothing that blew me away. Nothing I never played before. It feels kind of like Mass Effect. Not necessarily. I think it's just okay. At the end of the day, um, I would. I'm not that impressed with it, but if somebody else is, I get it. Um, for me, it's from the get go. I wasn't as interested from the fact that I knew it wasn't like a game that's gonna go on for a minute. So I knew going in that I wasn't as interested as like playing a different game like Division, Destiny, whatever. Because I didn't understand the whole idea of having a looter style when basically once you beat the game, it's over.
Yeah.
Um, but outside of that, I mean, it plays okay. I don't want to discourage anybody from getting it. It's just to me, it's not as impressive, only because it just doesn't feel like it's super unique. It just feels like something I've played before. I mean, if you play Mass Effect or something like that, that's kind of that's what it reminds me of. I know a lot of people say Gears, but trust me when I tell you, it plays more like Mass Effect than
Really,
anything.
really.
It does.
Um,
Your Mass Effect 3, you're right about that.
it it
I
it
was
it,
thinking that when I was playing it.
it definitely feels, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Mass Effect is awesome. Awesome interpretation of emulating that kind of playstyle. But overall, the game doesn't feel unique enough to feel like, to me anyway, that something I want to jump on right away. Just to me, it doesn't. But that doesn't mean it's going to be a terrible game or anything. It's just, eh. It's like a meh to me. You know. Um, I'm not upset. I think it's a good thing they're trying something new. But I think they definitely need to add something that set it apart, that make you feel like you got something special here. Because aside from how it plays, and it definitely does play like Mass Effect to me. Mass Effect had a huge storyline. So even though you was collecting a lot of stuff and upgrading and all that stuff, it had a whole lot of extra stuff when it comes to going through the story that made people excited. It wasn't necessarily the combat. Yes, they had PvP, but be honest with you, it was mainly the decision making, the connection to the characters, things being fleshed out. All that stuff is what made that game special. So they would need to do something on that level in order to keep people interested. Otherwise, people are just going to put it down. I'm just being honest.
Fair point. Animated, did you watch any gameplay of this?
I've watched a bit. I thought I really wanted to play it, but as Mav so eloquently put, it's a game that you've got to play with the right guys with. And I've been waiting for a couple of guys to say, "Yeah, let's play it," because I know I'll probably really enjoy this. So I'll try after this weekend to get 3 or 4 hours into it and see what I think. What I've seen so far, I was watching Mav the other day play it, I believe, while I was at work. Obviously, I'm not supposed to at work, but hey, let's hope the boss isn't watching. Yeah, so it does look good. It looks like something that would really interest me, but I need to get hands on with a couple of my friends to in chat and see what we think. But you've all got valid points. It's been classed as a Gears alike, and now it's a Mass Effect alike, and I can see all the points. But yeah, we'll see when I get to play it with the right people.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know one person that we are missing on Xbox right now that would have probably played this with us animated. Flamish guy. There he is. Oh, he came for his dance real quick. See, Yeah, he would have played it, but no, he's busy on PlayStation playing it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been very, very busy at work this week. And looking at the next couple of weeks, I'm going to find it difficult to get on the Xbox with a few people.
Yeah, you have been busy working. I mean, that's facts right there. So no doubt. But I mean, this is the type of game if you like to play games with your friends, like Mav said, it's probably a fun game.
Yeah.
If you're gonna play it solo, you may want to wait for a discount because you can still play it solo. I mean, Zemi Games was playing this game solo for the whole time so far, and he's enjoying it solo. But yeah, I don't think he's gonna get it right away. He's probably gonna wait for a discount or something. So the next topic I was gonna have here was about the controversy over Smash Fighters, but PK and Bloody both let me know that that was a pretty old topic. And PK happened to watch the Smash event today. I don't know if anybody else has. I did not. Mav, did you?
Nope.
Are you excited for Smash, Mav?
Well, I played it on the Switch, and I've always liked Smash. I just never super got really into it, you know.
Well, PK, underneath his Nintendo tattoos has probably Smash Brother tattoos.
Yeah, there's Smash is huge. Smash has like a dedicated hardcore fan base,
Yes,
and it's like a very it's actually like has a lot of deep like mechanics because it's skill based. It's a skill based game, right? So it like uh I love that about Smash. I just would like a new one with a good online system on a console to be able to really get into. I'm sorry guys. I know I keep saying it. I can't play anything on these freaking handheld devices and have fun. I know you can put Smash on the TV. I know that, but still the way that you play with your friends and hook up with your friends and all that stuff is lame to me. So I once they get all that figured out, I'm all in on Nintendo. I love the games. Just I want the system to play it on, including Smash.
Makes sense. Yeah, and unfortunately, we're not going to get an upgraded Nintendo Online. You know, I mean, they still were using Windows 98 for their backend for a long time. So
it's sad, man. We got it's like they didn't evolve with us, right? To me, it's kind of what it seems like.
And that's kind of just Japanese companies in general when it comes to their online, because we talked about how, look at Monster Hunter World when that came out back in 2018, very highly successful, Capcom's best-selling game, one of the best co-op games around. However, still very archaic in the fact of, hey, you want a group for your friends and just want to be able to get a big group of you. Oh, well, guess what? Someone's gonna have to set up a private lobby, and then they're gonna have to open it for anyone who can join. You can host up to, I think it's 12 people, but guess what? You only have squads of 4. I was like, and the only way to be able to see each other and do things together is only in one specific area, because everyone's home base is their own instance, and there's only a small area, and then you go out into the world, and it's very archaic in the fact of having to set up these individual servers or go through these very complicated matchmaking, when you see how quickly other companies, Microsoft, Sony, made it real quick. Look at how easy it is to get into a game of Call of Duty, game of GTA Online, everything else is just like, hey, quick, select friend, invite to game, boom, done. We don't have to go through all these complicated steps, and it's kind of one of those things of, as advanced as they are with everything else, there's certain aspects that just never evolved, and it's kind of frustrating when it really affects the online experience, especially now that online is becoming more and more and more prevalent. You'd think that they would take the time to really kind of start making these changes and updating these practices. But I mean, look at already how bad some of really Nintendo's online infrastructure is. They may have had help from Microsoft on it. Doesn't change the fact that what they have is still not exactly the best online.
Yeah. PK?
but Smash is awesome for the people that love it. I'm not trying to knock Smash at all. Smash is great.
The character reveal by Sakurai, because he always has his own event for these type of things, which is also special. You never really have a fighting game character reveal with his own show, except for Mr. Sakurai in Smash. So today they revealed Pyrrha Mithra from Xenoblade 2. So for those who have the Wii U / Switch, that's probably one of the best RPGs to grace us in our lifetime. So if you haven't played it, then you definitely are missing out.
Xenoblade
Basically,
Chronicles 2.
yeah, Xenoblade 2. Yep. Um, it's pretty long. It's got a lot of stuff in it. It's a pretty long RPG. But it's basically she's two characters in one. I mean, without spoiling the story, it's two characters in one. Just basically, this the idea. And the cool thing is, you get to switch between her personas in mid fight, and they both characters are slightly different. So it's not like the Ice Climbers where you fight with both characters at once. It's kind of reminds me of back in the day on the old Smash when you get to switch between Zero Suit Samus and regular Samus, or not Zero Suit, the regular Zelda and Sheik. That's what it reminded me of. Until they made them two separate characters.
I had started Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And it looked like it was going to be awesome. I was excited about that game, but it was playing at 720p on my 65-inch TV, so I turned it off.
This man needs to stop with his snobby behavior that played on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and in any other 360 and PS3 at 720 had no issues.
Hey, that was a long time ago.
Doesn't matter.
Many years ago at this point, PK.
It was commonplace.
Matter.
It was normal and commonplace at that time. Not
doesn't
anymore.
matter.
We have moved on to bigger and better.
I kind of agree with him when I look at 1080 or 720 after playing in 4K or at least at 60 to higher frames. I'm just like, God, how did I play this? It's ugly.
It doesn't matter. We play retro games and they have no graphics, and we still have fun.
But I don't want to play retro. Like when a new game comes out, I don't want it to feel like.
Shadow. How about that?
Yeah, but that's supposed to look like a retro game. It's not supposed to be a big new RPG. You know what I mean? Like it only looks like that because of limitations.
I'm not going to argue
hardware.
with you, but Smash plays at 1080 60. Okay?
Yeah, Smash looks good. Smash looks good, but unfortunately, there's a lot of games that don't.
Okay, so you're saying there's a lot that doesn't. We had this discussion before. Every single one I own, and I might have more than you, run at 1080 60.
Well,
so Raving Rabbids didn't. Breath of the Wild didn't.
The longest 5
minutes. Breath of the Wild is a Wii U game, not a Switch game. But the Mario was 1080p 60.
Well, PK, what I think here is I think that, I think for you, it doesn't matter if it looks good or not, because I think there's a lot of nostalgia, and I think that there's nothing wrong with it. You love Nintendo Switch, and you like what you play, and you are a hardcore fan of some of the first party titles on there, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think from Maz's perspective, it just doesn't compare or compete with what he's playing on current gen.
But that's what I'm saying is, what are you comparing it to? There is no game like Smash. There is no game like Mario on any other console. You know what I mean?
I have no issues. I have no issues with Smash or Mario Kart or a lot of those games. It's just when these. Okay, so if you play Fortnite on the Switch, right, and you play it on the Xbox, it's like night and day different.
It's
quality.
Still Fortnite. It's
So
not. It doesn't
that's a
have.
game that people
It
play
doesn't
though,
have
so it matters.
enriched. It doesn't have enriched graphics or any of that stuff.
Yeah,
It's
it
still the
does.
same game.
On Series X, it has like ray tracing and all
Oh,
that
come
stuff.
on, man. Let's get.
It does.
Come on, bro. Let's just stop.
There's
I think PK is loving Nintendo a little bit right now. PK, admit it.
Listen,
Admit it.
no, I'm.
I love
Listen,
Nintendo too. Those games are great games. I just wish they had them available at 4K 60, and I hope when they are on the new Switch, whatever it is, that those games will be also displayed at 4K 60. And I also want the games like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to not look like ass on a big TV.
Okay. Is this the final time we're gonna hear this, man?
No, until Nintendo changes their ways, I am going
I'm
to
just
keep
saying.
bringing it up.
Is this the final
never stop.
time?
Never stop stopping.
Somebody
Bloody
needs to say
Knuckles.
it. Nobody's
Knucks
saying this.
backing him up.
Who like why is nobody calling out Nintendo? Like, you know what I mean?
my
Somebody
thing
has to
is-
do it.
Uh,
My
Somebody
thing
has to
is,
pick
can they
up
at
when
least
they
do more 60
you know,
frames? I was like, I'm
it'll
okay at
be
1080
done.
as long as it's 60 frames and up. I'm not going back to 1080 at 30
Oh,
or below.
exactly. Yeah, 60 frames is way more important.
How about this? How about
1080
this?
is fine. I'm happy with
How
1080
about
60.
this? The Switch had more 60 frame per second games than the Xbox One.
It did, and I love that. I just
Yep.
don't want them at 720. Xbox One X or
720p
Xbox
60.
One.
I don't want 720 30 either.
Xbox One.
Right. Well, yeah, that was a long time ago.
In the way year of 2015.
My
Well,
point is they just announced a new console, or they're about to announce a new console, and it's not a console again. That doesn't make me happy.
They didn't announce anything.
Yeah, well, they're going to supposedly, according to Bloomberg.
It's probably going to be a reiteration, just like the Switch Lite, just like they did with the 3DS. It just had many iterations until they decided to bring a new console. We don't know yet.
Let's back up here though. If it has a 4K 60 frames per second in dock mode, I think that would entice some people. Play it.
That would entice me back
Yeah.
in, but not if they don't upgrade those games. Like I want to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I don't want to play it in handheld mode. And on my TV, it looks like a blurry mess, dude. I can't even hardly tell what stuff is, and that's not I'm not exaggerating. Like it's that bad.
I don't
It is.
understand you, Mav. I have a TV and it does not look that bad. I'm not questioning your TV, but it just sounds weird to me. It just sounds weird to me.
I think
bro.
it's just like okay, in our bedroom
I have
is
a
where we play
C10
the
right
Switch.
now, and I'm telling you, it does not look that bad.
So where I played it, we had in our bedroom we have a 75-inch TV, okay, and that's where I played the Switch. Is in our bedroom.
But
it looks like crap on that
a
thing.
75-inch plasma and a 75-inch LED that
It's a
doesn't
LED
mean
Samsung.
anything. At
It looks like crap. It looks like crap.
Okay. Well,
It
back
does.
to what I was saying, that the Smash reveal was pure Mithra, and it was exciting. It showed very many different ways to play the character, and one was a very big powerhouse, while one was more of a combo uh, character. Though I do see it has some issues on edge guarding, but overall, it does look like it has some huge knockout power. There's like I don't know, more than 30,000 plus videos of people saying she's overpowered, but that's pretty much how all brand new Smash characters turn out. As soon as they drop a new DLC character, they're usually pretty strong until they get patched later down the line. But overall, it should be fun. The whole point of Smash is not necessarily competitive. It's just more like putting all our old toys, our favorite toys, in the same spot for us to play together. It's just like a celebration of gaming, if that's the way Sakurai is meant it to be. To bring together everyone who love gaming and love their games. I don't care if it's Bayonetta. I don't care if it's Metroid. I don't care if it's Final Fantasy. I don't care if it's Minecraft. Uh, you know, bring everybody together to have a good time. It doesn't have to be super sweaty competitive. It could definitely be a very fun party game. at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Is just having fun and goofing off. And it's definitely, I can't wait for it to release. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's supposed to be sometime today.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's something for you to look forward to for sure. Um, Bloody, are you a Nintendo fan?
I do enjoy Nintendo. I've had a lot of Nintendo products and a lot of their systems. Like I said, I've been through multiple iterations of their handhelds and everything else. And I am a big Smash person. Smash is probably the one thing that's always made me buy a Nintendo console besides Animal Crossing. Unfortunately, with how it is to get a Switch right now, it's been absolutely god awful. So I do not have it. However, my roommate does, and we get together a lot and as a house and all just kind of play Smash. So I was really interested in uh Pyrrha and Mithra because I watched him play through Xenoblade 2, so I know of the characters. And I do agree with what PK mentioned is that whenever there was a new character dropped, it's always very strong until they get it balanced out to match with everything else. Same thing kind of happened with Joker when Joker dropped. Same happened with Die.
Can
And
you
all the other
guys
characters.
still hear Bloody?
I can hear him, but it sounds like I'm hearing him through feedback from somebody from something.
Are y'all having trouble hearing me?
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
like
sounds like-
muffled.
Do y'all want me to dip out and come back in?
Maybe if you just unplug your mic and plug it back in. It sounds like the mic went into like a mono mode or something.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is.
I'm back, I think. Yeah.
Yep, you're back.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
how's
do
this?
I do apologize.
better,
My
Bloody.
That
I
better?
lost my
Okay.
microphone.
Okay. Yeah, so I was saying is that we've kind of seen this happen with a lot of the other past Smash characters. Is like what happened with Joker first dropped, that Joker was really strong until probably what, about a couple weeks to about a month they got him kind of balanced and mixed with everything else. Same thing happened when they introduced Daigo from um what's it, from Dragon Quest and a lot of those characters, or Die. Um, so I think that the like what was specifically what PK mentioned with how a lot of people kind of broke down what they revealed and kind of thinking. I don't think that in the long term that it's going to be a big difference, because once this character gets out into the field and there's a lot more people who are going to be playing it, especially once the pros kind of get their hands on it, it'll help bring it in line with everything else. And with Smash, at the end of the day, yes, it's a game that you can just kind of mess around with friends and just have a good time. Even on the comp scene, though, I mean, it doesn't matter what character that anyone chooses. There's going to be those pros that have one character that they're specifically really good with, and they're going to learn how to kind of play against other characters, especially ones that have a weak composition, if you will. So realistically, I just think that it's Smash. Enjoy the fact that this Smash continues to grow, that it's having a bigger roster than ever. He mentioned that Sakurai just says this is just kind of a love letter to all gaming. It doesn't matter, we look at what's in it. He mentioned Steve from Minecraft. They have Banjo Kazooie. They have so many other Japanese titles. How I don't know how many Fire Emblem characters they have alone. Um, the thing about this game is that it just continues to grow and grow. There's a lot of new characters, a lot of new changes and things that they're adding. I think on realistically, that's just a good thing, because more stages, more characters, more fun. I was like, what they've done with Ultimate really is just a big showcase of, hey, we just want to be able to make something where everyone can kind of put in their character and just let anyone play with it no matter what, and just kind of have fun with it. And I honestly think that's the way that Smash should be looked at no matter what.
Animated, you have anything you want to say on this Super Smash topic?
Not really. It's not a game I've played. I can see the allure, definitely, with the amount of characters that's in there and stuff. The only thing I've done on the Switch is the terrible, terrible family games we can make fun of each other with. But other than that, I can't offer much. Nothing more than's already been said, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, Mav in the chat, I do agree with you. I think there's a big difference between the the what the offering is and the what you say, like all the services offered. Speaking real quick, I mean, before we move on, everybody remembers the Phil Spencer interview pictures that went around recently. You guys remember those?
Yep.
Um,
I
but
believe
he,
I believe I know the ones you're referring to.
Yes, I know exactly which pictures you're talking about.
So on his shelf, we saw many things. We saw the Kojima thing, right? And we saw the Switch up at the top. So I think that we're probably, and I did say this before, like a long time ago, but I did say that when in Japan they had an app on the Switch for Game Pass, but it was like a beta kind of testing thing that they were doing over there, and it didn't really function. I think we're gonna see something on the Switch, just from a long time ago. I don't know exactly what it is gonna be Xbox on the Switch, but I think we're gonna see something. And the Kojima statue, Kojima stuff. I think that we are gonna. I think Kojima is gonna come over to Xbox and do something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I do feel like that if Xbox is gonna pay the money for Kojima to come over, I definitely think it's gonna be an exclusive for Xbox. I don't know if it's gonna be the thing that he worked on for Stadia that got canceled, or if it's Metal Gear and Xbox made a license deal with Konami. It's gonna be something though, and I think that will be exclusive for the Xbox ecosystem. You guys have any thoughts on this?
I actually do have some thoughts on it, and quite a few of the things that people mentioned was some of the new additions to his shelf, and kind of wanting to break things down. I think that with the Switch, one, we all know that Phil absolutely is a gamer first, and I think that's kind of why he's been so successful and done everything, is that he understands what it means to game. And I think that there were those reports about kind of testing and seeing how Game Pass would work on the Switch. Um, so we may see something like that. But I think with the more kind of things, and especially with a lot of the games that we've kind of seen go over to Switch, and the continued like relationship with Nintendo specifically, I think we might see some more kind of cross collaboration projects. Maybe there'll be a Switch title or something like that. Maybe one of the third party studios that have made like a Switch exclusive. Maybe there'll be some assistance with porting one of those over to the Xbox and PC ecosystem. But it would be interesting to see how they do and test if it is Game Pass on other devices, especially if you look at the Switch. I think that we may see more aspects of some of the games for more the xCloud side of the Xbox Game Pass, being able to stream some of those games that are directly in xCloud, and see how those are handled first, instead of just being able to do everything else. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I know there was the Ubisoft statue of the collector's edition mask from Watchdogs 3. I think that's kind of a good sign, because the fact that we might see that game coming to Game Pass soon. But I think similar to what we saw earlier this year or last year with EA Plays partnering with Game Pass, I think we'll probably see Ubisoft do the same thing, because they do have their own launcher and service with what they had with Uplay, which I think now is called Ubisoft Plays, or Ubisoft Games, or I can't remember what they changed the launcher to, but it used to be Uplay. And I think that we're going to see some of those games directly in the Uplay service kind of be on PC in the Game Pass, and then probably their own console version partnering with Game Pass as well. As for the Kojima statue, him having the mascot of Ludens for Kojima's new production company is very interesting. And I know that there's two aspects of it. Is one, some people think that it could be a tease of potentially Death Stranding coming over to Xbox, just as we saw that it had already went to Steam and PC. through a third-party publisher and things like that. So that could be a possibility. The other aspects is the fact that they may be collaborating on an exclusive to the Xbox brand. I think that it may be the Stadia project, but I do know now that Kojima had recently mentioned that in an interview about a year ago that he said now he's in the right space to do the horror game that he kind of wants to do after everything that happened with PT and Silent Hills and how that drove him more to focus on Death Stranding. I think now would have been the time for him to kind of go into that. So it may be possible that Xbox is getting an exclusive horror game from him and kind of seeing what he's capable of doing. Because I think that recently Xbox has kind of really done a lot with partnering with indie studios and other kind of companies that are doing these horror games and kind of filling out that niche and kind of big sleep.
Because his horror game has been cancelled by Stadia, and maybe they may have approached him beforehand, and he said nope, going to Stadia, sorry. And now now it's dropped, it's gone. They've gone, oh hello, this is a chance. So maybe it's a win-win for us, just on the off chance that he now has no home for his game. That was my thoughts on it. Especially if it is, especially if it is the horror one that's. If he starts a game, he likes to finish it. There's not many he hasn't gone through with. When you think about his history, even his ideas, albeit a little bit out there, some of them, he's always followed through and gone. He needs to make this game, and if one platform has gone, sorry, but we're not doing it anymore, he's going to jump on the first one that offers him the money. So that would be my take.
I just hope it comes out on the Xbox and not the Switch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I had to. No, I think it's very possible that we got something with Kojima going on the Xbox. Just because I think I read something or somebody said, like Jeff Grubb, I think, who's a pretty big insider, right? And he had said that he really thinks there's something to this, and that at this point, he's just kind of putting everything out there. It seems like he thinks there's stuff to this stuff. So I think Grubb could be onto something with that. I think that we could have potentially all of those things come to fruition. Who knows? You know what I mean? The Switch, the Game Pass on there would be pretty amazing, because that's everybody's always wanted like an Xbox handheld, and everybody's got like the mobile devices and stuff, to use xCloud on, but the Switch is made for gaming, right? So that would be an option for people to play if they want to play on a handheld, something that they already have as a secondary device. A lot of people, right, with that 4K screen on the potential new Switch could be 720 screen, the new OLED on that would be pretty cool. So I mean, there's just a lot of possibilities that if these things happen would be really cool to see. I don't know if any of those things are actually going to happen, but I hope so. I think it would be a good thing. Now, if let's say Game Pass xCloud did go to the Switch, right? How would they work that with Xbox Live in multiplayer? That's the one question I have. Would it just be integrated to the app?
I think you'll be able to sign into an Xbox Live account on the Switch. There's a possibility.
Right, join an Xbox. So, like, could Switch users somehow take advantage of that for their own games, for Nintendo games? Like, if they actually implemented an Xbox app on the Switch, because that could solve some of the online issues that the Switch potentially has. So if there was, basically what I'm getting at, if there was some kind of deal here to have Game Pass on the Switch, it'd be nice if maybe there was more to go with that partnership, than just the app. But we'll see.
Well, don't forget that they already have it to where you have to sign into a Microsoft account as it is for Minecraft on the Switch. So I
Right.
think them kind of making that kind of more apparent wouldn't be too far of an issue with the fact that it's already something that's prevalent on the console as it is.
How do you access? So on Minecraft, it has its own like in-game like friends menu, right? So even in the Switch, so you can join Xbox and Switch players can join through that. I'm assuming.
Yeah, and they have it to where when you first open it, you kind of sign into your Microsoft account for Xbox and stuff like that.
Right.
And then there is the in-game Minecraft menu for your friends list because of the fact that they have it to where, especially if you have the realms, you can join people on Xbox, Switch, PlayStation, PC, mobile, kind of any platform that is a part of that.
Right. Cool. Yeah, that would be I think a good enhancement for if there was if that was available on more games on the Switch. I think multiplayer would be a little bit better on the device, right? So, yep.
Yeah,
It's
possibly. Yeah.
It's just for everybody in the chat. Just let me know. I just want to make sure the stream's not buffering because I was buffering there for a second. PK, anything else you want to add to this, or?
I mean, it's a lot of speculations. I mean, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of I having a brain fart, but the Metal Gear Solid guy. I'm not a big fan of
Kojima.
him. Kojima. I think he's all hype, and if he wants to make movies, he should just go make movies. But did not like the last couple of Metal Gear games. I don't like watching games. I like playing games. So if majority of the game is a bunch of cinematics, then that's what he needs to go do. That's just my opinion. The last game he made was also a wash, in my opinion. Um, Definitely don't like playing a FedEx simulator just because you can watch a guy get in the shower over and over. It doesn't make me excited. So, not saying and not to mention this guy doesn't know how to tell a story. At least, at the very least, if he's gonna make another game, please let someone else do the writing. Please, someone else do the story making. This guy made Metal Gear and basically contradict and himself in the same game, contradicted his own story in the same game. Tells you don't know what he's doing when it comes to narrating. So leave that to the professionals. Do what you do best to do visuals. And if you're gonna make a game, please don't make it all about cinematics. But that's just how I feel about it. So I'm not bothered, nor do I care about any of his games he make until he proves me otherwise. Outside of that, that's all I got.
I think you feel about Kojima how I feel about the Switch right now.
Oh no!
Nice.
I don't know
Nice.
Damn, he
why you
really don't
keep
stop.
going there, man. You
I'm
just
just,
keep going.
I know, because I'm just digging at this point. But hey, no, Kojima like has a deep history, right? So like the the first 3 Metal Gear games, and even the ones on like the handhelds back then were pretty good, right? So
You must not.
I
You must
really
not
I
pay
love
attention
Metal
to the
Gear 2.
stories. You must did not pay attention to the story.
The stories are all
Because-
over the place, but the gameplay is blast. The gameplay is great. I freaking
You
I
can
love
beat the
Metal Gear.
game in less than an hour. That means there's not a lot of gameplay. There's
Wait,
more cinematics.
Well,
game
maybe
can you
you
beat
can, but
less?
you can also beat like Super Mario 64 like really fast too. But nobody actually does it, right? Except for like
No, no.
speedrunners and
There's
stuff.
actually achievements to do this. So yes, people do this. Matter of fact, the last Metal Gear, you can go through the entire game less than an hour and not kill anybody, and that's an achievement.
Yeah,
I mean, PK. I think that's a rare
that's
extremity.
yeah, that's a massive game, dude. I don't know, like I never finished it because it was so big, and I just went on to different things.
I mean, on this Kojima thing, right? I get why people like him because to some he's an artist. Like it's a very unique way to look at his work. He's a very unique and awkward and eccentric type of person, right? He's very creative. He's in his own world sometimes. He creates these things, and you either love them or you don't like them. And, I'm not a big Kojima fan either, but I understand why people like him. And it makes sense to me because he is an artist. It's like looking at Da Vinci's paintings, right? You either like them or you don't. There's no ifs,
Yeah.
ands, or buts on this, and I think that's what Kojima is to a lot of people.
I really appreciate like true creatives, and he's definitely like a creative, right? A creative that is actually making games as opposed to just an executive.
And my mother-in-law left a timer on in the microwave in the background, so I hope you guys don't hear it, and I apologize in advance, but I can play some, crickets or something to help you guys out. But, on to the next topic. I think that we actually have 2 more topics. I hope I can fit them both in, but I think this is kind of exciting because I invested in the PSVR. And it was probably a bad idea at the time that I invested in it. Because the PSVR really wasn't up to what what VR should be, which where the Oculus is today. But there are new games being announced for PSVR, and I think that's a good sign. And they got a new PSVR headset coming out, so that's a great sign. And with those, I mean, Doom 3 VR Edition, Song in the Smoke, Crack, which I don't like inside a mountain fracking facility. It's weird. I Expect You to Die 2, The Spy and the Liar. That looks creepy. Zenith, and I have no clue what that is. After the Fall. That's kind of... So I mean, it's neat that they're making games still. I'm happy. Mavs, you don't happen to have a PSVR, do you?
No, I had a Oculus Rift for a long time. It gave me headaches and made me nauseous. So when I had the PS4, I never invested in the PSVR.
Okay.
I really want to enjoy VR, but it's just I don't know if I am capable.
Well, I know what Chance Glasgow said about VR, and he said that he even warned me about the PSVR when it was first coming out because he said 30 frames per second per eye is not worth it. He said when it gets to 90 is when it should help with some of that nausea stuff that some people get with like motion sickness. And the new Oculus is at 90 frames per second, I believe. So I don't know if you have any demos set up near you with the new Oculus, but that might be something you might want to try for a couple minutes to see if that did fix the situation.
I want to try the new one when it comes out, but like I need a demo because I don't want to buy it to try it. Right?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know if Best Buys have it demoed or anywhere else near you that might have it demoed.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check out the new one when I get the PS5 and see what that's going to be all about.
You could always go to Fry's. Oh wait, never mind.
Yeah, I used to work at Fry's, man, when they opened up in Dallas. Bye, Fry's. I'm sorry you're gone.
It's more like buys electronics.
And Infinite in the chat says that the Oculus 2 will be 120 frames per second with next week's update. Well, Infinite, if you just happen to have, I don't know, a couple extras lying around and you want me to try it out for a day or two and I can send it back, I will try it out for you. I'm sure Matt would too. That is crazy, man.
If you just want to donate to the Broke Gamer Fund, I'm pretty sure everyone here could use that.
That's crazy. Yeah, there's something really cool with VR, and I don't know if you guys know this, right? But they have this thing called Big Screen VR, and a lot of the guys from RetroRenegades, they hang out in Big Screen VR, so they watch movies together, and with their VR headsets, they could throw like tomatoes at each other, throw popcorn in the air while they're watching the movie. It's like inside a movie theater, so it's a pretty cool experience. And you can play like movies locally and share it, and everybody watches it together. That's part of the application, or the application has rooms with movies being played by other people that you could jump in. So it's a really cool thing, and it's something I want to experience. But I'm probably not gonna be able to because I know that my wife will not let me get an Oculus right now. She would smack me. Um, so with that news, I mean, the PSVR getting more games and PSVR 2 coming out. Has your faith been, restored with gaming VR, Bloody, PK, or animated? Feel free to jump in.
I wouldn't say my my faith has been restored. There's definitely a lot of games that are coming out for VR. Kind of look at what happened with Half-Life Alex on Steam. That was a massive selling point. The thing about VR, while it has gotten better, it still hasn't hit that killer market to where it's going to be readily available for everyone. What makes PSVR the best selling VR headset out there is the fact of it has an easier price point to get into compared to Oculus or even HTC. And you look at what's preferred, HTC Vive is better than Oculus. However, with the Oculus Quest, that has much more improvements now over the HTC, but they have the same games library. And with a lot more games kind of wanting to come out, there still isn't anything that makes VR absolutely the end all be all or the next big thing. Kind of what hurt the Kinect. The Kinect had some really great games. However, there just wasn't enough to really kind of sustain it long term. That says, "Oh, this is why I need a Kinect," and a lot of that kind of what happened with PlayStation Move. Until they kind of utilize, hey, let's mix Move with PSVR and kind of repurpose those to something different. So VR is still just kind of a ways away from it being the next big thing. I do like some of these games that are coming out. They definitely are interesting. And if you have a PSVR, I absolutely recommend getting them or at least checking them out. I've used VR headsets before. I had the Samsung Gear for a while. I've used the Oculus before, and I'm very impressed with it. And I'm glad that they're getting new updates and new iterations to kind of improve on things. But right now, it's just for the general public, just because of the price. VR is a far away from being the next big thing for gaming.
So, do you think that the $300 price point is too far off for entry level for most people?
I think that $300 for the PSVR is definitely why that the PSVR is the best selling. You look at some of the other ones though; those are 700 for a full set to close to 1,000. Even with the PSVR though, you still have to look at the aspect of what other things you're going to need. Some of them still need the controllers, the camera, and things like that, unless it comes all bundled together, and then it's the cost of the games themselves, which is almost the equivalent of buying an entirely second console, which is still cheaper than some of the others, which you have to buy everything individually and then the games on top of that, which is why I say that PSVR at least is easier to get into, but still it's going to be hard for the general public because you have to have the headset and then a console on top of that.
I disagree, Bloody. I have a Quest 2, and it's definitely cheaper than PSVR, and it doesn't require anything extra. Um, Plus, you can stream all your Steam games or whatever to it as well. I think the Quest 2 is probably the cheapest out of all the headsets out there without any extra gear or needing a console or any of that stuff. Um, but I'm not taking away from people who probably have a PSVR. It's fine, but question is, um, will the new games work on the old system? And is what's the difference between the new PSVR versus the old? Like what is enticing people to buy this all over again? Um, that would be my thing. But yes, far as the VR is out there, I mean, I'm not gonna say I mean, I'm not gonna say it's bedazzling me to feel like that's my new way of playing games. I mean, it's cool for what it is. But if you guys are into it, then that's cool as well. By the way, it is in 720p in your eye sockets. Um, the only one that does higher than that is the $700 headsets. But outside of that, it doesn't. None of the other ones have that much horsepower to put that kind of image on your
So,
head.
for the uninitiated in VR, I have played. I'll tell you in a minute. For a really really decent VR experience on the Oculus and the others and through Steam and stuff, do you need a high end PC to be able to?
Nope.
Not at all.
Nope. It, far as the Quest is concerned, and it doesn't require anything. It's a self-contained unit.
Okay.
And I mean, it works just like all the other headsets, except for you don't need anything extra to make it work. Out the box, $300. You know what? Beat Saber is probably the most popular game out there on VR.
So let's pretend I don't have a PC or anything else like that. I can buy this $300 headset and I can play games on it without
Absolutely.
anything extra.
The only thing that I did not like that you got to do is you got to have a Facebook account.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's the only thing I don't like, but that's required in order to buy games on their little device.
See, I'm not a fan of VR myself, only because I had a bad experience when it first come out. A friend sat me down and said, "Put this on." So, do I have to? Yeah, put this on. And he sat me in a chair, and I don't know if most of you know my love/hate relationship with horror games. Don't do them. He put the scariest ass game on it, and I didn't like it. It was like, no. So I've never won one since, but only because he tortured me. He was a good friend. Not spoke to him in a while, but yeah, he was a good friend, and my friends thought it was hilarious to see me sat there quaking in my little boots.
So but he I've tortured you.
Yeah, that's the best of friends. That's the best of friends, isn't it? That they can sit there and laugh.
Do we need to have a one-on-one?
We could do with it, yeah. We can discuss
those layers of onions.
Yeah. There's layers there. But yeah, but it really it sucked me in, and I was petrified because he'd put like a horror game on, but I didn't know that you could buy the Oculus without extra stuff. I mean, I thought to myself, there's no point in me buying a headset. My PC won't run it. And I'm sure that a lot of people out there are also as ignorant as I've been. But to be able to buy one for $300, £300, whatever your currency is, and not need a high-end PC to run it, that's really good. I mean, I'm thinking of investing in one right now.
Mav is sitting there and he's thinking, I want to get a PSVR. I want to get an Oculus Quest. I'm getting the HTC Vive. I'm going to get them all.
Yeah, I do want to try it again for sure. Part of also the problem was just having so many like setup stuff around for it. Like you had like 3 cords coming from you, all that stuff, and it's kind of got in the way, like
that stuff is wireless.
Yeah, so this new stuff is wireless and everything, and that's a benefit as well. I don't know if is the PSVR, the new one, going to be wireless.
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
That was always a hurdle for me too, because like I don't like where I would have the PlayStation before. Just didn't make sense for me to have the VR hooked up to it. Now I could, because I could have it set up here on my desk, but I didn't have this set up then. I definitely want to try it again at some point and give it a go. I think the Oculus Quest will probably be the route I go when I do try it again. And if that works really well, then maybe I'll try the PSVR at that point and get those games.
Hey, what's going on, Avis? She just popped in the chat. Well, I mean, we're almost at the 2 hour mark, and there's something that I want to do and say on the show. Is that we lost some really good people in the gaming community this past week and the week prior. We lost Nintendo Guru, who a lot of people respected and loved due to COVID. And then we lost my friend and a fellow of the Iron Lord's realm, iDizzy. And it's just it hits so close to home because iDizzy was on Four Guys less than 30 days ago. And it was only a couple weeks ago that he got really sick with COVID, entered the hospital, and I talked to him while I was in the hospital. He was in really good spirits. And he was the type of guy that you ask him how he's doing, and in return he's like, "No, man, how are you doing?" Like, he always asks more about how you were doing than he was worried about himself. And I mean, it's just a really sad thing. And they set up Iron Lords and the family set up a donation for him and the family. And I'll put the link in the chat in case nobody's seen it or you watch the chat later. So something that if you're able to, I would say go ahead and drop a little bit to the family. He left behind a wife and a son, and it's a real sad story, man. So tomorrow on the Iron Lords podcast, they're gonna do a special thing for him and the family and remembrance, and that's gonna be at 12 p.m. Eastern. So I hope to see a lot of you guys there. And I hope to see a lot of people on Twitter there. I'm supposed to drop by the show. It's just, it's there's so many things I want to say, and then the words get jumbled when I think about it because it's always so hard to lose someone that you consider a friend, even if you never hung out with them in person, but like you spent time talking to them. It's really hard because he was a good dude. He was a really, really good guy, and he fought a tough life, man. Like he was going through a lot of other stuff prior than just COVID, and it just doesn't seem like that it was fair that he fought those other battles and making it, and then this pandemic came along and it just took him too early. So to Dizzy, rest in peace, man, and his family and immediate friends. My thoughts and prayers are with you guys, and I hope that in time things feel a little better. Is People will say time heals all wounds and this and that, but it doesn't always, and you just learn to live with the losses that you have. It's easier to move on, but it's still very hard. Like there's a huge grieving process, and I just wanted to say that so that you guys can buy the Iron Lords chat and check out the donation page and spread it around. It's a really good man. I don't know if anybody else on the panel knew iDizzy.
Well, I only time I had ever gotten the opportunity to speak to him was on Four Guys that one time.
Weird.
And just from the 2 hours that we had on that show or however long it was, my impression was like, that's a super great guy. Right. And from the outreach of the community and the way everybody's spoken about him, the fact that he was one of the founders of Lords of Iron Lords podcast and all of those guys and Lords of Gaming. It's what Lord Cognito has said about him and everything speaks volumes. And I feel like this man has left a impression on this community that is going to last a long time. As a new member of the community, it seems that I am have become familiar with him, even just through everybody talking about him, how awesome of a guy he is, and that was also felt when I got to actually talk to him on Four Guys. So that was a privilege to have had the opportunity of that. So I am glad. And to his family, it's a hard thing to go through, and like Clowns was saying, like it will get better, but it will never be easy, right? So everybody tune in to Iron Lords. Do you have the link to that, Clowns, to the show? Did they post it on YouTube yet, or on Twitter?
They do have it on Twitter. Let me see.
Yeah.
Grab it real
Yeah. So if anybody could, show up to the show, and if you have the means to donate to the family, if not, then your presence there is felt, or just reach out and say hello on the Twitter feed or whatever. But it's the whole community is I feel like is getting behind this. So it's an awesome thing to see how everybody rises up to support somebody that was a good part of the community.
Amen. Yeah. Beautifully put, the pair of you. Of course, there's no pressure for anybody to donate. Just your presence alone will do wonders. Never feel pressure. If you can't do it, don't do it. If you want to do it, please do. I have only met the guy through Twitter interactions, but yeah, look at the community. You can see the heartfelt love for a lost soldier. My prayers are with his family.
Posted the link in there so that you guys can copy it down and maybe put a reminder if you're able to make it. If not, stop by, give a thumbs up, or listen to it later on. Just man, it's hard for me. It is hard for me.
Yeah, I feel like you've probably known him for a long time, Clowns.
Yep.
Honestly, it's one of those things of just it losing someone is never easy, and someone that you've known online, it doesn't matter whether they're halfway across the world or right up your street. I think the friendships that we've kind of made online is no different than a friendship that we've had in person. And some of these people in the gaming community have made lasting impressions with the fact of how much they want to talk about their passion, share that with everyone, and kind of help push things to new heights. You saw what Dizzy did with the Lords of Gaming, and what Cognito and David and Addict and everything that they've been kind of building up, with everything that they've done, um, and what they've achieved. And a lot of that is part of because of what Dizzy helped to kind of show. It was the same what happened with Gaming Addict. These guys are these people who are no different than you and me. They just love talking about their hobby, being able to share that passion and just make a difference by being themselves. And I've only talked with Dizzy a few times on Twitter, and seen him in some of the early stuff that the Lords did, but the fact is he was still as passionate a person as anyone here. But the fact is what he's done and what he was doing, and just the kind of person that he really showed himself to be, with everything that he
Yep.
that everyone who's surrounded himself with have talked about, gives you an idea of what kind of person he is. And I think that's probably what's going to hurt the most, is that you have someone who's truly genuine, truly passionate, and just overall a fighter. With everything that he's gone through, he was always positive and fighting every day, and didn't let anything hold him back.
Well said.
Yep.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Well, with that, keep them in your thoughts. check that stuff out, and we'll go ahead and do the outros. I think Bloody, your mic is echoing again.
Okay, how's that?
Better. Yep, that's a lot better. So,
Okay.
for the outros, we're gonna try to be more cheery because I know that was a little bit not so cheery. But Bloody, I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. It was a real pleasure having you. Your knowledge top notch on a lot of stuff. And you know, your comments on the Switch was, I think, very accurate for most people. So thank you again for coming on and hanging out with us and everything that you do. And where can people find you, man?
Oh, well, one, I want to say thank you to you and PK for inviting me out here. I had a lot of fun with you guys, a much different kind of show that I've done in the past, very mellow, and I really like it. And I appreciate it, and I really hope to do more stuff with you guys in the future. But for everyone, if you don't know who I am, I'm Bloody Nux, also known as the Anime King. I ran a very big pop culture and anime centric podcast, which has taken some time off until I can get that revamp. But they can find me on Twitter. They can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and over on Glimish, the new streaming service I just opened up. They can find me all at Bloody Nux, one word, KNUX, where they can see me doing multiple things across every platform, even on YouTube as well.
Awesome. And Mav, you got a lot of big things coming up. You got a show coming up, I think, tomorrow, and then a show Sunday, and then probably lots of gameplay and lots of Halo. Where can people find you, man?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Fun Speculation. You can find me on YouTube at Fun Speculation. Tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, so that's Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, is the Xbox Ultimate Podcast on the Fun Speculation YouTube channel. And also on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern, we have Fun Pop podcast, which is a new podcast. This is going to be our third episode on Sunday. And you can catch me here on Four Guys with Quarters as always. And who knows where else? You know, sometimes I make pop up somewhere. So and also just streaming on my channel. I do it quite a bit. So if you guys want to stop over there and kind of just hang out and say hello, I love to see you.
Awesome, man. Yeah, absolutely. I hope you guys check him out. Mav does do a lot of streaming. I will say that. Like every time I'm looking at YouTube, he's live on something. He's always got something going on when he's not working and doing other stuff. PK, man, where can people find you?
Hey, I just want to give a shout out to Bloody. Sorry, man, we didn't get to go around and talk about your streaming habits and your Sega partnership. I really wanted to get into that, let everybody know the great things you've been doing. This man has been a streaming machine. Let me tell you, that's pretty much his second job. I'm gonna tell you that. And he does stream a lot of Japanese games. Yakuza fan. This is what got Sega's eyes on this man. So I definitely want to give a shout out to him. Thanks for coming through. For as far as me, you know, you can catch me here on Four Guys every Thursday, GRG every Friday. Um, Definitely looking forward to seeing you guys. You can see me if you want to play games. Definitely hit me up on Twitter at PKX Live. And you know, I'll be here to get it in. Definitely love having these good conversations. And shout out to Flamish, even though he not here, I blame him for everything.
Hold on, do I have the Flamish stance ready? Oh, there it is. He's coming back. Flamish is back. Everybody's interrupting the broadcast. There's Flamish on screen. Yeah. So Animated Evil, you are doing a lot as well. I mean, man, you are on the weekends. You're like booked now. You're like a celebrity in those community chats. So, what have you been up to?
No. Never celebrity. Just it's all about the fun. So I'm a part of Four Guys right now. So I'm looking forward to working with Mr. Clowns on something coming, hopefully.
It is. Yep.
I will try and do the Thursday podcast when I can, when work allows, when I'm not too tired, because after working 13, 14 hours. On a Wednesday, I'm with Stubz on the midweek gaming podcast. On a Sunday, I'm on the Flemish Experience. On a Friday and Saturday, I co-host a community game night with Mr. Tushy. Find all the information on Twitter, animated_evil.
Awesome. Yeah, and definitely check out all his stuff and check out the community game nights. It's been a blast. I mean, Mavs is in there sometimes, and DK's in there sometimes. Like they got all sorts of games going, whether it's Gears, Forza, I mean, there's Wreckfest, which we got to get more going now that it's in Game Pass. Everybody, Flemish will drive a bus and destroy you, so make sure you have a bus as well. Yeah, so check it out. But I want to tell you that we got some plans for Four Guys with Quarters. Some of it's been in the works for a little bit. Graphic God, you see this little background of the four guys. It's like going back and forth. That's going to be the background for the radio show that's coming up. He's going to help us with the logo. So we're going to be doing a radio show called 4GQ TV Radio, which Animated Evil and Mama Rux and guests will be a part of. Anybody who can hop on for Four Guys is always welcome as well. That's going to be on Tuesdays. On Thursdays is going to be the main podcast, which is what you're watching right now. On Fridays, because Midway's schedules change, Midway and I are going to do quick news bits throughout the week, stuff that maybe we missed on the main podcast or new stuff that pops up, until he can get back on the show in the summertime because of his schedule. So that's going to be tomorrow at 6:30. And then right after that, don't forget you can watch Mav's show because that's on at 9 p.m. So we're going to, I need to, guys, transition right over to Mav's show right away. Just wait in the chat, hit that thumbs up for him. And so we got some guests coming on the show that may excite some of you guys out there if you're still listening in the chat. I don't know if you're still sticking around for this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it in case you're listening on the podcast feed later, or you're that one guy in Russia that's still watching on goodgame.ru somewhere. So we have Jimmy Palmiotti, who is a writer and producer of film, TV, games, and comic books. He's really known lately for Harley Quinn. He just is now doing Red Sonja with Dynamite. He's helped with the Birds of Prey movie. He's written the Birds of Prey books. He's actually done a lot more than that. And he's going to be a guest interview next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. But on top of that, going to be a little bit surprise. Mav's going to be there. 3-Bit's going to be there. And they helped get another guest on the show. That's a big name. Do you want to say it, Mav?
I guess we can. I mean, he said yes, so it should be on. I putting out there, we don't know what's going to happen just because some of these people are so busy and they're like, their time is very important. But they said yes, and they said they will be there. So I'm going to hold them to it. So yeah, Paul Jenkins, who was on the original team that created the Ninja Turtles, also responsible for a lot of games and writing in games, and also Marvel Comics as well, is going to be there. So it's going to be exciting. We're two big time players in comic book, movies, cartoons. It's going to be a blast.
Yep, absolutely. So if you're into all that pop culture stuff, definitely check it out next Thursday. It's going to be a huge show. It really is, because it's going to be a surprise for Jimmy to see his friend on the show as well, I think.
Yes, they know each other, but they don't know that each other's going to be there.
Yeah, kind of.
Paul Jenkins knows that Palmiotti is going to be there, but not the other way around, I don't think. So
yeah, it's going to be a nice surprise. And then on top of that, we have, it's probably going to be next Saturday, as that's because the day that everybody's available and it works best for everybody. But you know her from Cyberpunk. 2077. Most people liked her character. It is Pan Am. We have the voice of Pan Am coming on the show. We're going to interview her and talk about her history and acting and voiceovers. So it's going to be fantastic. So I'm looking forward to that as well. We got more interviews scheduled after that. So definitely stay tuned. It's just a matter of getting everything worked with the panel and the guests. But I have a feeling that we're going to have some other big heavyweights in the comic industry and movie industry come on. So yeah, keep looking forward to that. We're going to keep bringing the content for you. And until next time, see you guys later.
Chat, you're awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Later, everyone.